There are Catholics around the world. They're seeing this. They're finding it hard to believe. So many of them have been stripped from mass. There's still today people who are unable to attend mass. Some, as sad as it is to hear, are barred from mass because they have no vaccine. I was just speaking today to a Catholic up in BC, in the northern region of BC, British Columbia in Canada, who tells me that for the last 4 months, children, even as of 11 years old and older, are not allowed in the church at all. No mass if they were not vaccinated. There's a fellow who wouldn't mask, and therefore they wouldn't baptize his child. That's what we're dealing with. At the same time, all of this geopolitical insanity. How are Catholics, the regular Catholics, supposed to deal with it, Father? What are we to do?
I said it many times over the past 2 years. Find the Father who loves you, and there were few. And that we can't be surprised by the fact that there were few, and there were many who did not. Because if you love your child, John Henry, you have 8. He said, how would you not feed every single one? Would you not sacrifice yourself to feed them? Of course you would. We talked about Bergoglio and what he has done. But the thing is, it's not just him. It is the entire Catholic Church hierarchy. And nobody gets a free pass, because even the good ones have to stand up and speak out, because silence is complicity. Silence in the face of evil is evil, as I said. So here you have the bishops, and I think I talked about it earlier, in Quebec, and now they're doing the same thing out in BC and everywhere in between. But bishops around the world are not speaking up and speaking out against Bergoglio. And for instance, here's one example. We talked about China. One of the high-ranking cardinals in the Vatican said, China, I can't believe this, but it's true. China represents Catholic social teaching, social justice teaching. Are you kidding me? Did Bergoglio come out and say, I'm going to fire this guy because he's clearly speaking error, damnable error? No, of course not. Bergoglio gets his next level down to say something so that it isn't pinned directly on him, so that he can waltz around the world in his white cassock like as if he's some sort of good guy. He's not good. He's as evil as they come, and he has wrought evil globally, and he's appointed bishops and cardinals that will support him in his agenda, which is consistent with the Chinese. So what are the normal people supposed to do? Find the priest that fed you during the last 2 years, and then go to him. And as I've said it many times, write on one piece of paper in big red letters, 4 words, not one more penny. And then send that to every bishop, every priest, put it in your collection basket, not one more penny until we get rid of them. Listen, we have to clean house. Well, and God's going to do it. He's going to drive them out, just like he did, in the temple. These evil, godless imposters of shepherds of the church need to be driven out. Come, Lord Jesus, and do it again. The trouble is, what do you do in the meantime? Find the priest that fed you, and then just go to him. And that's all we can do. There will be deprivation, but how much more deprived can the people be than they've been deprived over the past 2 years? Do you have time for one more quick story? I was out in Las Vegas to go to a rodeo. I get to go one day a year if I'm lucky. And you're in all the casinos, because that's what they do out there. And nowhere in the restaurants, nowhere was anybody wearing a mask. I, as a Catholic priest, went to a church out there in Las Vegas, and that damnable bishop made everybody put a sign up: you cannot come in without a mask. So I can go into any public place in Vegas, but I can't go into a church. God damn that bishop's order. And he himself is damned for failing to take care of his flock. That filthy bishop needs listen, if you're really a Catholic out there, put that not one more penny and demand his mitre on a platter. Because until you do, and Archbishop Fulton Sheen said that 70 years ago, he said, it's up to you people. We can talk till the cows come home, but people, you can't just stand there and let them get away with this murder of your faith. You have to stand up. We can't do it all. Supich in Chicago, perhaps the most powerful cardinal in the United States, forbade his priests to baptize, anoint the dying, to hear confession. He forbade it all during this pandemic. And what I said from day one is that even if It was the Black Plague itself. It was Ebola itself. All the more reason to keep every single one of our church doors open, because we have one job to do, and one job only, and that's your salvation of your soul. And if I'm not willing to risk my own temporal being for the salvation of your soul, then I better hang up the collar right here, right now, which means that every single bishop who closes people access to the sacraments of grace, turn in your miters now. You better do it now, because it's going to be the millstone that drags your soul to the bottom of hell. People say, oh, I don't like your manner and tone. Hey, okay, it's an eternal soul. We often hear Jesus said, or people say, well, Jesus would have come if it was just you. If it was just your soul and you alone, Jesus would have died on the cross and went through the whole passion, etc. Right? Imagine how he feels then about every bishop that denied a single soul access to those sacraments that put him in a state of grace. Okay? There is no explanation on the face of this planet good enough. There is no excuse for any single bishop whatsoever to deny people access. That is their job. And if you can't get out. Quit pretending you're Catholic, because you're not.
I look back and I've been to some of the Latin masses, and I find it very moving because I love the process of it. And one of the things that I see as as a historian who became a Catholic, I think we built a Tower of Babel inside our own church by just getting rid of the Latin Mass. And then when the priest turned his back upon the cross and the preparation of the host, it's almost like a Saturday Night Live gag. We know this doesn't end well.
The proof is in the pudding. Before all this nonsense took place after Vatican II, 100% of Catholics went to church, 100% of Catholics believed in the real presence. It's now down to 20%. At what percentage, I've said this many times, are the bishops going to say, hey, this little experiment we tried after Vatican II, which, by the way, Vatican II and not one single document ever authorized. They bastardized the whole plan afterward. They did it on purpose. They put ambiguity in the document to allow them to exploit it. And I didn't know what I didn't know, but then I was red-pilled, as the saying goes. When you understand the truth of the sacred liturgy, which represents what God himself commanded us in Exodus 25-31. When you see that we're there for 1 hour a week to worship him, it's not all about us. It's not about fellowship. It's to worship. And how does God want us to worship? Go read Exodus 25-31. It's clear. And Jesus went right along with that whole established way to worship God. There is evil in the Novus Ordo. And this is why, do you understand? This is why Bergoglio and his boys are so against the traditional Latin Mass. Why? First of all, it uses Latin. Well, Vatican II said you're supposed to use Latin, right? And they know that this is where the real faithful people are. The young families, where they are. I mean, you go out, drive past a church, and you see 10 massive 12-person vans out there. Hey, the Latin Mass is going on inside. They have the faithful ones. They have the most children. That's where the faith is, and that's why Supich, that viper in Chicago, and Bergoglio, the viper in the Vatican, and all the other ones that are complicit with this are against it so much, because they know we're the real Catholics. We're the real ones holding on to the truth. And people get shook up when you say that. Well, you know what? The proof is in the pudding. At what point is any individual going to say, well, maybe what these bad actors did after Vatican II isn't working because nobody believes it anymore?